Hi everyone, and welcome to this webinar, Master Your Data. My name is Elva Ingolsdóttir, and I'm a supply chain consultant right here at HR Dynamics. And I'm introducing new inventory optimization features, which enable you to manage item-specific data across your network at the click of a button to fine-tune the flow of goods. Before we start, I really want you to know how committed we are to continuously develop and bring you new features. Because every year we invest over 1/3 of our revenue right back into R&D. This investment is focused on three main areas. These are visualization, automation, and machine learning. And now we're reaping the fruits of our labor and celebrating the upcoming release of our newest version, HR 6.3, to be launched on May 31st. So to cover all the new and exciting features, we are hosting a webinar series. Each one is around 15 minutes and focuses on one topic at a time. The webinars are recorded, so if you miss out on any of these, you can always receive a link to the video. So last week we covered the order exceptions, and now we are on to the second webinar, Master Your Data. It includes order coverage days, bulk update, and the sharing of reports. I'll start by showing the features in PowerPoint, and then of course we'll open the system and run through. If you have any questions, please click on the Q&A bar on the right-hand side, and at the end of the webinar, Agnes, our head of product development, will answer the questions. All right, first up, we have order coverage days. It is more than just a field, it is an entire feature. Up until now, it has been lurking in the background, configured by our consultants, and now our dear users have full access to the feature, empowering them to take full control of the flow of goods. So the ideology is quite simple. The system asks two things: how often you would like to check on the order need, and when you do need to order, for how long would you like to cover? This enables you to keep your order quantities economic and reduce handling cost. But before we take an example, I would like to explain that the ATR ordering method is what we call a fixed order cycle. It is time-based and always in terms of a time period. All right, so let's take an example of a store that has daily replenishments. It has next day delivery, and let's say it is a decentralized setup. And as the store manager, I want to check on my entire assortment every day. However, I do not want to replenish every item every day because I want the picking and receiving to be manageable. So to achieve this, I set my order coverage days to 30 so that when I do need to order, ATR will propose an order quantity that provides me with 30 days of stock. A beautiful benefit of having separate fields for the item coverage and order frequency is that we minimize the safety stock to cover only the demand uncertainty during the supplier lead time and the order interval. So 2 days in this case is exactly what I need. Another example, this time for my warehouse, is so we have weekly warehouse ordering. And I have my scheduled orders up and running, giving me proposals each week, and in them I include all items. To keep the ordering quantity economic, I want the order coverage to reflect 3 months of demand. In this situation, the reordering point becomes dynamic, as it looks at my stock on hand and calculates from there how many days I am good for. The system knows my order frequency and the supplier lead time, suggesting order quantities of 0 when it sees that I can wait, at least until next week's order proposal check. Another great way to use the function of the order coverage days is to set yourself some strategic inventory turnover goals. So let's say I would like my inventory turnover ratio to be 12. I'd like to turn the inventory 12 times per year. This will require my average inventory to reflect 15 days. So the appropriate value to insert into my order coverage days would be 30 days. All right, next up we have bulk update. So what we've done here is that we have taken all the green editable fields from the item card and we have made them scalable. So the user is now moving from being able to edit item by item to being able to do a mass upload. Now, the feature is available both in items and reports, and it allows you to do any kind of drill down to your data to filter on the right set of products that need to be maintained case by case. Now, this is a feature that should perhaps not be open to all users. We advise that you provide access to your super user, or if you have a master data maintenance person who could control what is updated. But don't worry, you can always revert back to the default settings, allowing the user to iterate this functionality. But okay, so what master data can the user control and how is this beneficial to the flow of goods? I'm going to take 4 examples here in PowerPoint, and then we go ahead and open the system. But on a high level, the data is divided in 2 parts. On the one hand, we have order logic specific data, and on the other, we have forecast related data. We're going to take 3 examples in the order logics and then 1 with the forecasting. All right, first up, there are 3 important fields to your planning horizon. These are additional lead time, order coverage days, and the order frequency. We chose to not have the supplier lead time available here because we strongly believe it should be maintained in your ERP system. Now, if you are missing the supplier lead time, and you would like to have the planning parameters correct in HR today, you can for sure update the additional lead time for planning purposes, because you could always revert back when you get the chance to update them in the ERP. But keeping these 3 fields up to date would be key to make sure HR is doing a good job at calculating the correct order proposals. Then we have what we call the minimum order multiple threshold. Here we define the threshold between order multiples. So in terms of when the system should round down and when to round up. An example is if I have a calculated order quantity need for 11 pieces. My order multiple is 10 in a box, and by default, the system will always round up to 2 boxes to satisfy the demand. A 10% threshold would automate my subjective decision of saying, listen, if we exceed an order multiple by 10%, please round down. So this is quite a nice feature that enhances the efficiency in the order review process. Last for the order logic is the special order item. By selecting a range of items, I can go ahead and mark them as special order items, and by doing that, I disable the forecast so that my order proposals will only reflect the reserved quantity or the sales orders. We now take an example from the forecast settings. So I chose to explain the field exclude lost sale because I do believe it is quite a valuable field to make use of and maintain for the right items. So it focuses on stockout situations, and it simply asks the question, is the demand during the stockout lost or does it build up? Now this will probably not be an either or for all your items. It will most likely depend on the product. So if you're selling milk, well, the demand is gone with the wind. However, if you are selling a designer item, a special product in some way that is not readily available elsewhere, then most likely demand doesn't go anywhere, it builds up. And here you can say, dear HR, please make sure to buy enough to cover the accumulated demand so that when my order arrives, I will not go straight into stockout again. All right, that's it for the PowerPoint. So let's go ahead and open the system. All right, this is our version 6.3, and we are located here in the Items tab. Our bulk update feature is right here. The icon is gray, and you cannot click it unless you click on an item. Then it's available, it opens up, it tells me how many items I'm editing, and gives me these kind of warnings. So I'm going to take a few use cases, and we are going to start with my warehouse. So I'm interested in locations. I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop this right here because my warehouse needs some data maintenance. I'll click the warehouse. I can see I have 1,415 items located here, and I will need to add 2 days of additional lead time because from the time it is inbound and until the time it is available on the shelf, more or less, we have 2 days, and I need to plan for that. I can hover over and find a question mark here telling me what the field is. I can also go and ask what is the default. So I click on this one, I can see it's empty, so there's actually no value here to begin with. Since I am here in my warehouse ordering, I would like to add a order multiple threshold of 15%. That means it's going to round down if the calculated quantity is under 15% of the next order multiple. I'll go ahead and update that one. The system tells me when it's a success. Next up, my store in Reno just extended their opening hours. So I will go ahead and look at the forecast settings and find here demand on weekends. During implementation processes, we of course do apply global settings for the opening hours. This is when you have 1 or 2 locations that or any number of locations that differ in demand over the weekend. So I'll go ahead and click it. It will automatically say yes. That's all I need, and I'll go ahead and update. Now on my to-do list, I do have some special order items that I need to mark as such. Now, I have a list of item numbers, and if they begin with an X, then it is a special order item. I want to do this for all my locations, so I do not filter on location. I go ahead, click all items, find my special order right here. It tells me by enabling this, we disable the forecast, so order proposals only reflect sales orders. Yes, please. Next up, I do have some bad news for my vendor Gatorade as I am phasing them out. I have just closed a deal of the year with Powerade. I add a filter called primary vendor. I key in Gatorade and I need to make sure I am phasing them out. I already contacted them. We agree that 31st of May is the last day of their shelf space. So I simply say the forecast should end at a given date. So this is useful for phasing out items. When I have created Powerade as a supplier in my system and created the item numbers in my item master, I could utilize this here, forecast start date, to phase them in. Right now, I'm going to say as of 31st of May, no more forecast for Gatorade. All right. Now I'm gonna fine-tune the flow of goods using my order coverage days that we saw in the first PowerPoint slide. So I have some inventory turnover goals, and I would like to put it in relation to what it costs me to hold stock. I'm interested in the inventory holding cost and of course the cost of capital. So now you actually get a bit of a sneak peek into our last webinar where we go and say own into your ABC analysis. And right here we have pre-populated all the ABC items with a relation to the cost of goods sold. I do want to monitor right here on the screen the data that I am updating. So I will go ahead and find my order coverage days, ABC cost of goods sold, and also the order frequency. I have chosen here ABC cost of goods sold, and I would like this to be applied only to my warehouse. So I will go ahead and add that filter here, and I will start with my A items. The A items are 80% of my cost. They are high runners, they are expensive. So I want to have a high inventory turnover ratio, and I will go ahead and do a bulk update to say that the order coverage days on this one should be 15, and I would like to check the order proposals every week. If I now refresh the grid, I can see that the data has been updated. Very good. I move on to my B items because I am doing a complete check to operationalize my strategic goals for inventory turnover. My B items, 15% of my cost, around 30% of my items, of course, rule of thumb, but still it applies. Here I would like to have 45 days of stock when I do order, and every week I would like to check the items. Last but not least, my C items. These are slow movers. They are inexpensive. It's 5% of my cost, up to 50% of my item master. When I order, I want to cover 6 months. I'll keep them in the weekly schedule, check on them, and if I do need to order, let's just cover next 6 months or even a year, depending on how cheap they are. It needs to make sense, the ordering cost against the holding cost. So now I have updated the master data, and I would like to simply get an overview. I'll click on the APC button here, drag it and drop. And now I have grouped all my warehouse data depending on the APC. We do have an NNX representing new items and non-moving, so dead items. We'll go into that one in webinar 4. I can see here the order coverage days reflects exactly what we have just updated, and we have a weekly or 7-day order interval. Good, job done. So we do have other nice features. Small nuggets of luck, such as double-clicking on the item card to open it up. We can always click on the icon like before, but this here is very nice. We then have added transparency to the system. So everywhere on the columns, you can find a question mark. And if you click it, you get a description on what this is. You can, as always, drag and drop in the item grid. You can now drag and drop here in the columns. Now, this is quite nice when you have a considerable amount of fields or columns to work with. Then it's easier on the eye. Another benefit is that if you are using a report, you're getting all your data in, you're happy with the data, you want to put it in a certain order. And also when other people open the report, it's always in the same order, then this is what controls it. This right here would be user specific settings. All right, I am going to save a report right now, and I'm going to call this a order report for my APC items. And now you can see a new feature where we have sharing options. So by default, I am not sharing a report. I can choose to share with everyone, and then should it be a read-only or editable. I can also choose certain users or different roles. So if it is a common report, monitoring stockout, imminent stockout, I can say, let's share this with the purchasing department. So everyone who has the role of being a purchaser will be able to receive the report. Right now, I'm doing an order report, so I will share this with my friend Frank from purchasing. I'll go ahead and save it. It will appear under his reports as well. Now we are located in reports and the order report ABC that I just created. I can always click on the pencil right here, the editing button, and now I am able to change the owner. Now, I can think of 2 reasons why I would want to change the owner. So one would be a bit more sad. So say I'm leaving the company, then I can simply reassign the report so that the active user is the owner of the report. The second reason would be that the ordering reports create the foundation for our ordering schedules. So in this case, Frank is responsible for ordering for the warehouse. So not only should he be shared with it, but he should also be the owner, so that when I link this to the scheduled orders, he can go ahead and filter on himself, and all the orders subsequently deriving from this report will be linked to his name. All right. So that's about it for the show and tell. And stay tuned for our next webinar, where we give you a single version of the truth, as our data scientists have extracted key inventory insights for better supply chain management. And don't hesitate to reach out. We do love customer feedback, and we use your great ideas to drive our future development. That's it for me. Thank you for your time.